Hi guys, and welcome back to another championship video. It feels like it's been a while. This international break has dragged on, but it's time to get back into some predictions. So, round 18 of the championship, quick recap on round 17, and I got one score correct. Blackpool drawing 1-1 with QPR. Let's see if we can get some more here. So let's see what I've predicted. And starting off with a team that I got right last time, QPR, taking on Luton. This is Friday night's game, and QPR, they're unbeaten in 3, and obviously they drew 1-1 last time with Blackpool. Luton, they lost 1-0 to Stoke, and Luton, they're a good side. They seem to be able to win games and then just let it slip at the last second. And if they could get a bit of consistency and build up a bit of momentum, they could make a proper push for the playoffs, because I've been quite impressed with them so far this season. For this game, again, I think they're just going to fall short against a team that I'm expecting to finish in the playoffs. So, QPR to win 2-1. On to Sheffield United versus Coventry next. And Sheffield United, they haven't won in 3 games. Coventry, they beat Bristol City 3-2 last time out in an absolute thriller, where Coventry actually had 10 men in that game when Bristol City were ahead, and Coventry somehow managed to win it. So Bristol City absolutely bottled it, but Coventry, they're not very convincing away. They've got so many points at home, but not many away, and it's making me think that this is going to be a 1-1 draw. Bristol City versus Blackburn next, and Bristol City, they're very poor at home. And in their last 6 games in the league, they've won 1, lost 5. So they are not in good form at all. They obviously lost that game to Coventry, the 3-2. They had an extra man, they were ahead, and they lost it. That sort of sums them up at the moment. Blackburn, they did bounce back from that 7-0 loss to Fulham. They went and beat Sheffield United 3-1. Great result. And I don't think we should judge them too much off that Fulham game, as when Fulham get ahead early, they will just run away with a game. Obviously, that was a bit extreme, and I think Blackburn, just after 3, just sort of capitulated. However, don't judge them off that. They are a good side, and I think they're going to win here. I'm going Blackburn to win 2-1. Second, taking on 23rd now, it's Fulham versus Barnsley. And Fulham, they've won 6 in a row, and they look very good for a position in the top 2, automatic promotion. That's their goal, and they look good for it. And Mitrovic, he now has 20 goals in 17 games, and in the international break, he scored a winner against Portugal to send Serbia top of the group in injury time, and Serbia are going to the World Cup. So Mitrovic, he's such a key player. He always performs in the championship, and he's done it for Serbia against Portugal. So he's in brilliant form, and I expect it to continue. Barnsley, they are not in good form at all. They've won 1 of their last 9, losing the other 8. And last time out, they lost 2-0 to Hull, which was a very key game for them, as it's another team that are down there with them, like their win, which was the week before against Derby. So they managed to beat Derby, but Derby had probably gone anyway. They could have done with winning the Hull game, and they lost it. I don't think that Barnsley stand a chance, and that's because they're away, and they're the only side in the league that haven't won a game away so far this season. So, Fulham, another emphatic win, 3-0. Huddersfield versus West Brom next. And Huddersfield, their last game, they lost 2-1 to Cardiff, who hadn't won for so long. And it's making me think this is now where Huddersfield are going to drop off. However, I've thought that all season, and it hasn't happened yet. But I am expecting a drop-off now. West Brom, they're not in great form either, to be honest. They drew 1-1 with Middlesbrough last time out. and they're now 6 points adrift of second place Fulham, which is a bit worrying because they wanted automatic promotions at the start of the season, but with the form that Fulham and Bournemouth are in, that's looking unlikely now, and they might have to settle for playoffs. I know there's a lot of the season left and anything can happen, but Fulham and Bournemouth, they look incredible at the moment. But for this one, West Brom, I think they're going to edge it 1-0. Hull versus Blues now, and Hull, they beat Barnsley 2-0, but they'd lost 5 games in a row prior to that, so they're not in very good form. Blues, they lost 2-1 to Reading, but had won the 3 games before that, so that was a winning run cut short. I was quite disappointed by it. However, we were missing 4 of our 5 main defenders. Mark Roberts was the only one playing in that fixture, and all our defenders, for some reason, seem to be injured at the moment. I think the international break fell at a good time. I'm hoping some of those players are back in the lineup, and we can sort of push on and get going again. Now, an issue with Hull, we never win away at Hull. And I remember back in 2017, we lost 6-1 away to them. I don't think there's going to be a repeat of that here, because the two clubs seem to be in completely different places now. And Blues, I hope, we're on the up. So, for this one, Blues to win 2-0. Middlesbrough versus Millwall now. And Middlesbrough, they don't have Neil Warnock anymore. But Chris Wilder's just walked through the door, which will be very interesting. And I'm glad to see him back in the league because he did such a terrific job with Sheffield United. It was a shame how that ended, as he loved that club. And they just couldn't cope in the Premier League for that second season. However, I think there's good things to come from Middlesbrough, especially with some of the players they've got at their disposal. Under Chris Wilder, I think they'll be a team to watch. They haven't won in their last 3, so they're not in the greatest of form, hence why Warnock parted ways. But now, I think that they've got a chance of picking up some results. Millwall, they're in decent form over their last 5 games, and I can just see them edging their favourite score, which I'm going to go for, a 1-1 draw. On to Preston versus Cardiff, and Preston, they lost 3-0 to Forest after handing Bournemouth their first defeat of the season in that 2-1 victory, so they really did go from 2 extremes in the space of a week. Cardiff, they picked up a win for the first time in what seems like forever, and they beat Huddersfield 2-1. They'll be hoping to push on, and this, for me, is going to be a very dull game. Every time I feel like I say this, it's always the opposite, and there'll be plenty of goals. And I very rarely pull out this scoreline, because it very rarely happens when I say it. But I'm going to go for it, because I don't see many goals. In fact, any goals. 0-0. Reading versus Forest here. And Reading, they lost 4 in a row, and then they beat Blues 2-1. Forest, they are unbeaten in 3, and last time out they beat Preston 3-0, which is a good result, and I think this is going to go in Forest's favour. Also, Reading, points deduction, I'm not sure if it's confirmed or not, but it looks like it's happening. 6 points that Reading are being docked. Again, unfortunate. FFP are just going mental. The EFL are going mental at everyone at the moment. Derby have had the brunt of it. Reading are next. Forest are mentioned. So maybe by the end of the season, both of these clubs will have been hit with points deductions. However, sticking to the game, I think Forest are going to win this quite comfortably, 2-0. Stoke versus Peterborough next, and Stoke, they're back in form. They'd lost 3 in a row, then they drew, and now they've won 2 in a row, both 1-0 scorelines. Peterborough, they really, really struggle away. They've lost 7 of their 8. So I can't see them getting anything out of this one. But last time out, they lost 1-0 to Fulham. They were at home and they were unfortunate, as they are quite a lot at home. They play well, but they just couldn't hold on, and Fulham just got that goal. I can see a third win in a row for Stoke here by the same scoreline. Stoke to win 1-0. Swansea versus Blackpool now, and Swansea, they've won 4 of their last 6 to be fair. The 2 that they didn't win in there, a 2-1 loss to Blues, and their last game, which was a 4-0 loss to Bournemouth. Blackpool, they drew their last game 1-1 with QPR, and I see the same thing happening here. 1-1. And finally, it's bottom versus top, Derby versus Bournemouth. This is Sunday's fixture, and Derby, they're just having a really bad season. They've been hit with another 9 points deducted to add to the 12 that were. That's minus 21 they've had so far. They're on minus 3 points now as it stands, and they're 18 points off safety after 17 games, which is very, very worrying. Nothing that they could do. By their performances, they are just above the relegation zone, but FFP's came into play and they're on minus 3. They're basically starting the season again from here, which is just terrible. If they survive, it'll be a miracle. They've drawn 5 of their last 7 games. The 2 that they didn't draw were losses, so they're not picking up enough points at the moment, and they need to turn some of these draws into wins if they stand a chance. Bournemouth, they lost 2-1 to Preston. It was their first loss of the season, and they bounced straight back with an emphatic 4-0 win over Swansea, who were in good form. For this, I know these games can be funny, especially with it being on a Sunday, live on TV, bottom versus top. Anything can happen. Sometimes the top team just think, it's fine, we'll win this, and the bottom team, they come out fighting. And I think Derby will come out fighting in this one, especially after the week they've had and the season they've had, really. And the players will know it's time to act. They have to start getting wins. But I just don't think this is the game to do it in. I don't think it's going to happen. And I think Bournemouth will comfortably win this 3-1. So, that's it. Those are my predictions for the 18th round of Championship fixtures. Please let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and put your predictions down there too. Please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Championship content. Hopefully, we can pick up some correct scores after the international break. It's always quite difficult because, teams, they do change after a break. They're not in that flow, and there can be quite a few surprises popping up. But let's see if we can get 2 scores right and up the Blues.